13 Things Not to Do When Visiting Australia. Australia is one of the most stunning holiday destinations of the world, and everyone wants to travel to Australia. It has been written and rewritten hundreds of times in different ways. On all major web travel publications, and on Rocket Travel too, you can find tons of articles packed with top destinations, from Travel Planner to what to see and do in Australia and reasons to travel Australia. Although the cost of traveling Australia has unarguably an impact on your itinerary, these cost-effective travel tips will help you stay on track and save lots of money on your trip downer. Why sacrifice adventures, tours and activities that were on your Australian bucket list for a long time? Check out how these list of do's and don'ts for Australia will help you not make the common mistakes and maximize your overall travel experience in Australia. All things not to do when visiting Australia. Do not travel without travel insurance in Australia. This is often underestimated by international travelers. It does not matter what plan you have, when you travel Australia you first need to make sure you have unexpected expenses like medical coverage and cancellations of bookings covered. In addition, if you ever need to interrupt your trip for an important reason like illness or family issues, a good travel insurance policy will cover this expense too. Medical coverage can cost you thousands of dollars in Australia if you travel without insurance. I always buy travel insurance for my overseas trips from World Nomads. I prefer the Explorer plan for the adventurous traveler at a competitive price. Do not take travelers' checks to Australia. Do not exchange money at the airport either. While in the past travelers' checks were used as a way to save money on commissions, nowadays there are high commissions hidden when exchanging in any bank. So the best thing to do is to withdraw money from ATMs at the airport and possibly use a credit or debit card with low commissions or credit cards with zero commissions. In Europe it's almost impossible to get a zero commission credit card. But in the US there are many of these credit cards you can apply for. Furthermore, do not rely on just one prepaid or debit card. Take at least two of them, as debit cards are not accepted everywhere in Australia. For online payments you will need a credit card, and for hiring a card too. Do not book your flight to Australia too early. Most people tend to believe that the earlier you book the better. This travel rule applies only when you plan to travel to Australia on peak season. At Christmas or Easter you need to book at least 6 months ahead, but for low season you do not need to book so early. 3 months are enough, and sometimes 8 weeks may be just the perfect time for booking the cheapest flights. Do not stay in expensive hotels in Australia. It's not easy to find good value accommodation in Australia. If you want to try out something different, why not consider other options like private stay with Airbnb? And why not staying in IHA hostels? They are all great ways of staying on a budget trip to Australia without sacrificing comfort. For the long-term traveler, you can try out house sitting, free accommodation versus house and pet sitting. Do not eat in restaurants every day. They are expensive. Instead, eat genuine local food at street market or at major fresh market stalls for a real Aussie food experience. Prefer cooking your own meals when you can, and shop at the local farmers markets. You will be surprised of the excellent food in Australia. Do not fly too much within Australia. Domestic flights in Australia are not expensive if you book early. Do not fly if distance for shorter trips than 800 kilometers. If you are planning a 2-week trip in Australia, do not plan more than 2 flights and hire a car to experience the real Australia. There is nothing more rewarding than road tripping Australia at your own pace. Do not drive at night. This may sound silly or unusual, but this is a good thing to know before visiting Australia. It truly is important for your own safety not to drive at dawn or dusk because of wildlife crossing the roads in rural and outback areas. Moreover, bad weather and road conditions can be an issue too. While driving in Australia is certainly good fun, you must know about the do's and don'ts. I drove for 70 kilometers one night in northwestern Australia, and this served me as a lesson not to do it again. Here you can check my best solo driving tips in Australia. Continues.